Slovenia, a tiny Central European country, covers only 7,827 square mile with only 2.1 million population, now showing the red eyes to China after what the largest Baltic state Lithuania did. The tiny European country to take pop at the giant China over the Taiwan, with the plans to strengthen the ties with the self-ruling island. The Taiwan is already planning with the Balkan nation to set up the trade offices in each other's territory. The Slovenia is not yet ready to allow the Taiwan to open a de facto embassy in its country like the way the Lithuania allowed the Taiwan to open a de facto embassy in its capital Vilnius. But the Slovenia is showing their interest or intent to do the more business with Taiwan because this tiny Pacific giant have so much precious wealth in its west. And the Taiwan is very far ahead with their technological advancement. And they are the tech giant in the semiconductor manufacturing, and they are also very good in making the world class mobile components. And the world is moving towards the semiconductor industry because everyone is moving in making the advancement in the technological background. So that is why the semiconductor is a very precious thing in today's time. So these kinds of attitudes by the another European nations boiled the Chinese bloods. The Chinese were so furious when the Lithuania allowed the Taiwan to open a de facto office in their capital. Now they are also reacting very harshly because not only the Lithuania or the Slovenia, there are other Eastern European nations and the other Middle European nations and the Middle Eastern European nations, those who are slowing or the showing their dissents against the one China policy. What is one China policy? The one China policy is basically the China wants the world to recognize the China or recognize the Tibet, Xinjiang and the Taiwan as the integral part of the China. China told the countries to, when if someone wants to maintain the business or the diplomatic relationship with Taiwan or with China, then they have to accept the one China policy, because China actually captured the Tibet in the 1950s, also captured the Xinjiang. These countries, Tibet was an independent country without a force, without the army. They was a very peaceful country on earth, but the China deliberately captured that country. So that is the one China policy, and these countries are showing the dissent against the one China policy. Hello everyone, welcome to the Power Academy. Here in this topic we will going to discuss the Slovenian attitude towards the China and the why this tiny European nation do not want the China anymore. Why they are choosing the Taiwan over the China. What is the reason behind it? We will going to discuss in the further discussion. So let's start with a $1 million question. What is that $1 million question is? Question is, what was the Chinese reactions on the Slovenian attitudes? Because the China showed a very furious reaction when the Lithuania did so. Slovenia also referring to the Taiwan as a democratic country like the way the Lithuania did. Besides, the Taiwan and the Slovenia are working on establishing on exchange of representative among themselves to strengthen the relationship. Of course, this would not be the level. This would not be the level of the embassy level. I mean the kind of relationship, whatever the relationship they are trying to build, they would not be at the level of the embassies. It would be the same level that the many of the EU member countries have with the Taiwan. Like the Western European countries maintain the relationship with the Taiwan. Basically just like that. And these activities were enough to irritate the China, because the China do not recognize the Taiwan as an independent nation. They recognize the Taiwan as a de facto part of the mainland China. I told you why. Because they are one China policy. And if someone challenges the status of the one China policy, that makes them furious. And that is why China has described its shock at the Slovenians' decision to criticize the Beijing economic questions and vowing to strengthen the relationship with Pacific tiny giant Taiwan. The Foreign Office of the China described their decision as a dangerous statement in support of the Taiwan's independence. And now the next question is, why the Slovenia showing the rebellious attitude to China? What is the reason behind Slovenia's rebellious attitude? The reason is the same as the Lithuania. The Central and the Eastern European nations was devastated during the Second World War. After the World War II, the Lithuania became the part of the Soviet Union and Slovenia became the part of the Yugoslavia. So both of these countries were under the slavery and the occupations of other big nations. So when the Slovenia got independence from Yugoslavia on 25th June 1991, they kept their independence like the jewel to their crown. Therefore, Slovenia is also an independent loving nation like the Lithuania. Thus, the Slovenia giving importance to the independent Taiwan over the authoritarian one-party rule China. And also, these tiny nations in the in Eastern Europe and the Middle Eastern Europe, they do not have the significant trade ties with the China because their economy is only 1% or less than 1% dependence on the China. So that is why if they curtail their relationship with the China and they build the relationship with Taiwan, that will not going to affect their economy as well, because the Chinese economical systems is very much harsh, which I will going to discuss in the later part. Now the next question, not the next question, the statement basically, like the Slovenia and the Lithuania, there are some other European nations, those are following the footsteps of these two daredevils. The Czech Republic, Poland and the Slovakia is on the way to recognize Taiwan, and they are also trying to build the further business relationship with tiny Pacific giant. During COVID-19 pandemic, Czech Republic, Poland, Slovakia donated the COVID-19 vaccine to the island nations. The only European Union countries never showed the intent to do the same things these tiny nations are doing. And they also criticized the World Health Organization not to include the Taiwan within the WHO's initiative regarding the COVID-19 pandemic. On December 2021, second representatives from Estonia, Latvia and the Lithuania, among the other countries, gathered in the Taipei. Taipei is the capital of Taiwan, for the Open Parliament Forum, a summit designed to strengthen the island relationship with the democratic world. As I said, the history is the reason, and these Central and the Eastern European countries are led by the centrist and the center-right coalitions that are increasingly hawkish on the China. And the next question is, they means these tiny European countries, the tiny countries like the Slovenia. Why the Slovenia is taking too much risk? What is the reason behind of taking this much of risk against an dragon, against a massive nation? Those who have huge amounts of money, influence is huge, but they are taking this risk. The reason is obviously related to the economy. Although the Taiwan is a very small nation, but their intellectual property and the intellectual wealth is huge. They even beat the China in the some sphere of the business fields. The China basically do the reverse engineering and the copying the world class goods from the other nations. But the Taiwan is not like that. Taiwan do not copy the goods of the USA's or copy the goods of the European Union nation. So that is why the Chinese goods are inferior in quality. Their quality of the goods are pretty much inferior, because the European nations do use the goods which have a good quality, but the Chinese goods are inferior in the quality. So that is why this is the one reason. And the other reason is the Taiwan have world class semiconductor industry. Their semiconductor industry is so precious that they sometimes beat the USA in the some spheres, some aspects. Taiwan also have world class computers and the mobile parts manufacturers. The Taiwan's company Foxconn, who is popular for its iPhone manufacturing, and they are also manufacturing in Czech Republic. Now Slovenia is also ready to invite the Taiwan directly invest within their country. They do not want Taiwan to make an backdoor entry, but the front door entry. That is why That is why they are planned to open a representative office in the respective countries. They want to build their relationship at an embassy level and a de facto embassy level. That is their desire, and that they are trying to cope up with that desire by showing the intent that yes, we are coming together. The next reason is Chinese zero sum game. What is zero sum game? China is more prone to the zero sum and the money diplomacy, because China do have the huge amounts of forex reserve. Almost $1.5 trillion forex reserves they have. And the China always want to export their own goods to the other nations, and the reluctance to import less. So that game hurts the country's balance of payments. And this policy always favored the China to earn the more in the export-import business. Because if the China is exporting more, then he is getting paid in the dollars or in the euros. But when he is that countryman, I mean the China is exporting the goods, then he have to pay for those goods in dollar or euros. So that means the extractions of the money. So they simply do not want it. They are hoarding the money, hoarding the foreign reserves in their own country. And alongside this, their banks are more prone to give the loans to the other nations at the high interest rates. Suppose some countries are interested to take the loan from the China. China always ready to give the loans, because Chinese give the loans on the basis of the high interest rates, because the Chinese loans comes up with an hidden clauses and with an 7 to 8% interest rate. $1 billion if came up with an 7 to 8% interest rate, that means that is huge. And the China is exactly doing in their Belt and the Road initiative. They are giving the monies to the countries, those who are very poor in the economy. Their economy is vulnerable. Their economy is about to crash. They invest over there. They invest in the infrastructure projects in the name of development, and then they ask those countries to pay the money, and they've defaulted on the money. And what the China did, China take on the strategic port, China take on the strategic airport. This is how the China grabbing the land and the grabbing the projects, which is very important to the other nations. They are just trying to capturing the opportunity by taking the falsified loans, the loans which have an hidden clauses. And the last reason is the elected dynamic and the young leaders. Recently, the Slovenia elected a dynamic leader, and he wants to choose the country to choose his own friend. He do not want the other nations to put the pressures on the Slovenia to choose the friends. Which of the friends they will going to choose, the some other countries will going to decide. That the leaders of the Slovenia do not want. They do want the Taiwan as their friend, because the countries like the Slovenia, because the country is a democratic country, and the democratic country has to have the right to choose his own friends. So in my view, the world have to take the bold decision and the solid decision like this tiny nation showed, because the world have to show their confidence on the democracy, not on autocracy. We can understand that the Western Europeans have the so many business ties with the dragon, but the other EU nations like these tiny nations, they also have the ties with the China, but they are showing their intent that Chinese dragon have to be controlled. Their power have to be curtailed, because they are showing the belligerence towards the world. The belligerent dragons is trying to capture the lands from the India, of Taiwan itself. They are trying to capture it. What are they doing to capture the Taiwan? They are trying to sending their fighter jets over the Taiwan sky. But the Taiwan deliberately, they are doing these things deliberately. But the Taiwan is showing their intent. They are not budging down. They are acquiring the weapons from the United States, from the other European nations, and they are not showing their 1% of intent to merge their country within the China. And India has also shown the way how to tackle the China, because the China was trying to capture the Indian Ladakh regions, and the India showed them that if you have an intent to control the Chinese dragon, then you can do it. So the world have to take the decision, and the world have to take the steps. The world have to take those hockey steps by taking the very calculative steps against the China. And to do that, the China, we have to take some measures regarding the economy, because the Chinese, because on the basis of the Chinese economy, they are showing the world the what kind of power they actually have. But they are hollow in inside because they are autocracy. Now we have reached our question part. The first question is, the river Neva of the Russia drains its water into which of the following gulf? First one is Gulf of Bothnia, second is Gulf of Finland, third is Gulf of Riga, fourth is Gulf of Lions. And the second question, consider the following statements regarding the alpine mountain ranges. Statements are, first statement is its highest peak is Mont Blanc, and the second statement is this mountain separates Asia from Europe in the east. And which of the following statements is or are correct? You can choose from the following options. The first option, A is 1 only, that means the only 1 is correct. B is 2 only, that means only 2 is correct. C is both 1 and 2, that means both 1 and 2 is correct. D is neither 1 and 2. None of the above statements are correct. So you can give me the answers to the comment sections, or if anyone have any doubt about this topic, or anyone have any doubt about any other topics that I have already gave to you, or anyone wants to give me the lectures on the other topics, then please let me know through my email address. Thank you very much. Thank you for your attention.